We have already explained in our classes that using one's reason, one's intellectual abilities, one can come to know that God exists. Through a posteriori logic, arguing from effects back to causes. Those are the 5 proofs of St. Thomas Aquinas, which he got from Aristotle. Okay? Motion, contingency, and order, and so on and so forth. What I'm showing in these articles that I handed out is that not only can we know, and can philosophers know, that God exists by use of our reason, looking at creation, which proclaims the glory of God. Okay? We can know that the human soul exists as well. We can know that we're spiritual beings. The ancient philosophers talked about the human person in terms of the sheet I handed out to you, this sheet yesterday. Okay? How we're body and soul. We have 5 senses. We have an intellect, a free will. We have memory, imagination, emotions. Okay? The ancient philosophers figured this out. We can use our minds and figure this out. And the fact that we're composed the way we are, it should show us, it should reveal to us, okay, using our minds, reflecting on ourselves, that that we are body, soul individuals. There's a spiritual side to us. Okay? And yesterday I was going over part 6 of this this little apologetics course that Raymond D'Souza wrote. Does the spiritual soul exist? Okay? And I talked about 3 kinds of life. 3 forms of life. And those are on the first page of that article. Philosophers talk about the soul as a life principle. Okay? So there's a vegetative soul. Okay? You see, I think that's on. Yeah. It's on here. This says vegetative life. Okay? You can actually write in on this vegetative soul. Okay? If you just pen it in, you won't have to write it. I'm writing on the board here. A vegetative soul, okay, or life. Okay? Soul being the life principle. Okay? Soul equals life principle. So plants have life. Yes?
Okay, when they say by his name, what is that KM after? I know it's type of degree or something.
He may be some type of a religious community. Maybe it means that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what KM means. I've never seen that before, actually. Anyway, so philosophically, plants have a soul. They have a life principle. Plants are alive. Okay. Then you have sensitive. This is plants. Okay. Plants. Okay. You have a vegetative soul. You have a sensitive soul or life. Okay. And these are animals. Okay. They have a sensitive soul. They also have a vegetative soul. I mean, it incorporates this. Okay? A vegetative soul means, as it says here, they can feed, grow, reproduce. That's what plants can do. Okay? If you have a sensitive soul, you can do more. Animals can do more than plants as living beings. Animals are aware of their surroundings. Okay? Animals have a sense consciousness. Okay? They're conscious of their own senses. In other words, they're aware that when food is around, okay, they're aware of the fact that food is around. Okay? Plants don't have that sense consciousness. But plants don't. You look at a plant, and a plant doesn't have any awareness through the senses. Okay, this is sense consciousness and awareness of things. Okay. Through their minds. Okay? Animals have this, especially the higher animals. Okay? They're aware when they're. My dog, I had my dog Max, and he could be aware of things, especially two words he loved. He loved the word out, because he knew he was going to go out, and I think it was food too, or eat. You want to eat. You want to eat food. He understood that. They responding to certain words. They get to relate certain words to certain activities. Okay. Well, animals have a sense consciousness. It's an awareness of things. Okay. Of that. They're enjoying food. Okay. They can't reflect on it. Okay. That's the caveat. But they have a sense consciousness, but they cannot reflect. Okay, on what they're doing. Okay, what they do. Okay. Animals cannot know that they know. Okay. Cannot know that they know. Okay? They don't have that reflective ability to realize, to reflect on the fact that I'm thinking a thought. Animals do not have that ability. Okay? Plants, a vegetative soul; animals, a sensitive soul or sensitive life. But we, human beings, okay, we have an intellectual soul. Okay? Intellectual. We can reflect. Okay? We have intellectual consciousness. Okay? Besides having sense consciousness, we can feel things and be aware that we're feeling something. Okay, animals can feel pain. Okay, that's an example. Okay, they feel pain. Okay, they're aware that they feel pain, but they can't reflect on the fact that, oh, now I'm feeling pain. I wish I weren't feeling pain. All they can do is feel pain because they have sense consciousness. We have sense consciousness too. But we also have intellectual consciousness. The ability to reflect. To reflect. To be aware that we're aware. To know that we know. To know that we know. We can know that we know things. When you're preparing for a test, you're aware of the fact that, well, you may know the material or you may not know the material that you're supposed to test on. So that's our intellectual consciousness, which the animals do not have. They do not have an intellectual soul. Only we have an intellectual soul. Well, even if you believe in evolution, the theory of evolution. I like to stress that because it is a theory. And the church has never pronounced on the theory of evolution because that's a matter of science. And the church only makes statements on matters of faith or morals. The theory of evolution, like the Big Bang theory in physics, okay? The church has never issued a formal statement on this because that's not the church's prerogative to do that. But I'll just say I do not believe in evolution because I think the evidence is wanting there. Darwin proposed that we would find the links between the species 180 years ago. They've never been found. And Professor Gould from Harvard, knowing this, he put forth the theory of punctuated equilibrium, saying that, well, there were these rapid jumps between one species and another, and we just can't find the fossil evidence. Well, you have to have faith in that, because the evidence isn't there. I don't believe in evolution because I don't see the proof. I haven't seen scientific proof of evolution. You put a bunch of animals from lower to higher and say, oh, this is evolution. Well, no. All this proves is that you have different animals. God could have created the different animals in that way. But even if someone believes, yeah.
Isn't that kind of the same reason people used to ridicule faith in God? Like, we don't have enough evidence, and yet they still believe that evolution is superior to faith?
Yeah, they can, yeah. But, like I said, the church has never formally pronounced positive or negative on evolution. So someone can believe as a Catholic, as a Christian, in evolution. The church has never said you can't believe in it. However, what the church does teach is that evolution cannot explain our intellectual soul, that we are above the animals. Evolution can't explain it. Why we have an intellectual soul, we can reflect why us. Well, it took an act of God to do that. And an evolutionary process doesn't explain why we are different than all the animals. In the book of Genesis, God brings all the animals before Adam. And the book of Genesis tells us that Adam gave names to all the animals. The significance of that is that this shows we have dominion over the animals. We have an intellect. The animals are for us. We can name them. If you name something, you have authority, dominion over it. We have dominion over the animals. We can use them for pets. We can use them for food. I don't know if there are any vegetarians here or anti-animal people in the room here. That's fine if you don't want to eat animals. I do. I don't think the animal rights movement will ever really take off in America because we have McDonald's, Burger King. Everyone goes out for burgers, and some people just out of their own feelings. Oh, I'm not going to eat meat because it kills animals. But I mean, I hunt, I fish, and I eat what I kill or I catch. I have a freezer full of fish, mostly bass, sitting in my freezer. Yes.
Yeah. I go to a pretty hardcore Baptist Creationist church.
Okay.
And, well, one of our pastors discussed it this way, the separation between the human evolution and the evolution of animals, and he talked about that same thing in Genesis, how we have dominion over the animals. And he was talking about how it's easier to split it up, whereas you can see when they talked about those Galapagos birds, when they talk about the evolution, how that's completely different than the creation of man, because humans have definitive rule over it. What do you think? Do you think that somebody could still be a Christian and believe in the evolution of man?
Yes. Like I said, the church doesn't condemn this. It makes no gives no definitive ruling on it. That's a matter of science. Science may prove it someday, but I don't believe it because the evidence is not there yet. And Dr. Stephen Gould from Harvard admits this. That's why he came up with the theory of punctuated equilibrium and said, oh, there were these rapid jumps between one species and another, and we just can't find the fossil evidence. Well, sorry, the evidence is wanting there. You don't have the evidence. you've put forth this theory that these rapid jumps between species just to keep your theory of evolution, because it was bottoming out because the evidence wasn't there. So my opinion is that you need faith to believe in evolution. Dr. Dawkins, others, they believe evolution took place. Even if someone believes in it, though, puts faith in this theory, okay, it still can't explain how we have an intellectual soul, intellectual life. Okay. The theory of evolution cannot do that. We have an explanation for it as believers, that God created man in his own image. That's what that wording means in the book of Genesis. Okay. How do we image God? Remember we said yesterday, okay, we have an intellect and a free will. God's mind, his intellect is all-knowing, his free will is all-loving. We're made in God's image and likeness, different from all the animals. We have an explanation for it. The materialists who are evolutionists, usually they don't have an explanation. They just say, well, we evolved this way. Well, so one day a turtle, an alligator, they're going to be sitting around the coffee table discussing politics because they will evolve into intelligent beings. I'm sorry, I don't believe in it. But you're free to if you want. There's nothing in the Catholic Church that says you cannot believe in evolution. But what you can't believe in is that the human intellectual soul evolved. That took an act of God. And there's no way that the evolutionists can explain how we have an intellectual soul. Okay. So that's part 6 here. We went over that yesterday. Okay. I'm going to turn today to part 7. Okay. Does the spiritual soul exist? This is really the second part of this article. Okay. And that's how he starts out. He gives a good argument against evolution here. Why is this evolution of the species impossible? Well, it's amazing how bigotry can blind people, even scientists, okay? It is genetically impossible for a living being to have offspring with qualities that were not transmitted by its parent beings. No one can give what one does not possess. I can't give my offspring something I don't possess. And, for example, an ape can't give its offspring an intellectual soul because it doesn't have an intellectual soul itself. So how can a lower animal give its offspring something that is more developed, higher? And he goes on to say, no one can give what it does not possess in the first place. Okay? Any idiot knows that. Scientists try to do it, but always fail. The reality of genetic mutation never happens in order to add a new quality, but to remove an existing one. Genetically modified beings have fewer genes, not more, in their pool than the parents have. He's citing a scientific fact there. I thought that was an interesting argument against evolution. Sounds like a good one to me. Okay. Therefore, for an animal to evolve into a sensitive man, okay, be it a turtle, ape, or a liberal politician, it would take a miracle, and miracles happen from outside of the being, not from inside. Okay. So, man is rational. That's the next paragraph. Okay. Whereas animals are non-rational. That's what intellectual is, rational. Okay. That's another word for it. Okay. Intellectual soul, rational soul. Okay. Rational. We have a rational soul. Ratio, we can reason. Okay. That's what it means. We can reason. Okay. We can think and reason. Animals can't reason. They can feel things, they can be aware of things, but they can't reason. So, now go to the bottom of the middle paragraph there. The bottom of the middle section, the bottom paragraph. Okay. He says, the old printed road maps, does anyone still use those? I do. I don't like GPS because I don't like the voice of the woman who talks to me all the time. And I often listen to tapes when I'm in the car. And then she breaks in and keeps telling me, 5 miles, and it just bothers me. I like to have a map to know where I'm going. Map in hand, okay, I'm going this way, I'm going to figure out how to get there. Sometimes I turn to GPS if I get completely frustrated, but usually I try to do it on my own. Okay. I like to know where I'm going, like I say. Okay. Give me a map, So, but we have printed road maps, GPS, okay, shows the power of the human mind to increase knowledge and the ability to control nature. That's what maps show. This is just 2 examples. But the lower animals, and here I do not include liberal politicians out of charity, that's what he says, are confined to their same old ways. Next paragraph, bees make honey today just as they did when Samson killed the lion. No change. Okay? Animals do not improve on things. At the time of Noah, he brought the animals into the ark. Do you know a theory of how Noah brought all these animals into the ark? How could he fit all the animals into an ark? Zach, can you tell me? What do you think? With the size of the animals, you need this huge ark.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how we get on there.
Anyone else? John, can you think? I never heard this until someone suggested it to me, and it made sense. He gathered baby animals. All the baby animals. And you can do this. There's a model of Noah's Ark down in south somewhere where they've done this. They've figured things out to get all the animals. If you had baby animals.
It's the Creation Museum.
I think that's
New
the
there.
picture. Yeah.
I've been there.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, I've driven through there.
Okay, Noah's Ark, we think, is on top of Mount Ararat, underneath. It's in Iraq or Iran. I think it's Iran. And you could see it from the air. Okay. They think it could be Noah's Ark. Okay. Anyway, the next paragraph there, halfway down the right-hand column, you can apply your mind to a variety of ways. We can. Literature, music, dancing, computers. Your mind can pass from one topic to another. And your body doesn't participate in your thinking. You can be an eagle flying, just using your imagination and thinking about an eagle flying in that sense. But animals do not do this. By the way, music, literature, dancing. Next week, I'm on retreat. All next week I won't be here. You are seeing a series of films. In my syllabus, I talked about how we're going to grow in Catholic culture here. Okay, films on architecture and music. So we'll have some questions to fill out. We'll keep them because I'll test you on it. You're going to see the beauty of Chartres and Notre Dame. Okay. Does anyone know what Notre Dame means? Notre Dame. The University of Notre Dame is Notre Dame. You know what Notre Dame means? Notre is our. Dame means lady. Notre Dame means Our Lady, the University of Our Lady. There's the famous Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, which I have visited. Okay? I've never been to Chartres. I have to get there someday. Anyway, to continue, animals do not do this. They don't apply their abilities to music, literature, dance, and computers. None of this. They can't do it. Man is rational, animals non-rational. Now, turn over to the other side, okay? Because he has a good discussion here. Okay? The first full paragraph, a hunting dog may hesitate between 2 trails to follow, but he's not thinking like we do, like a choice, okay? He's trying to find the strongest scent. His choice is based on material sense consciousness, okay? Not an intellectual choice. Okay? Man's soul is not material but spiritual. The soul's activities are independent of matter, to some extent of its operations. It is spiritual because some of its actions are independent of matter. For instance, when you think of concepts like truth and error, beauty and ugliness, order and disorder, good and evil, these are concepts in our mind. We don't see, hear, and touch these things. Okay? That's would be sensing these things, using our senses. We don't. It's using our mind, our intellect. Okay. And if our souls were like the animals, we would form ideas only in pictures and sensations, like color, taste, shape, but never immaterial concepts, like goodness, truth, beauty. It takes an intellect to do that. So that's the intellect. This is proof of the spiritual soul. It possesses intellectual powers. That's what he's showing you. Okay? And then he moves on to free will. Animals have not shown the slightest progress on their own. They're not inventive. They follow their instincts. Okay. And the second to the last paragraph on the left side. Now the will. Okay. Man has a free will. He can choose to do this or that, to obey a law, act against it. Animals do not have this faculty. Animals don't break laws. Okay. They can disobey. You can train them, and they may know that they should do something, but they don't have a free will. I use the example of my dog Max. If I decided to fast for a day, and I said to my dog Max, we're fasting, and I put food in front of Max at the end of the day, he has no choice. He has to eat. He has to. An animal has to eat when it's hungry. An animal can't say, I'm just gonna, forego. I'll wait an hour before I eat. Animals don't have that capacity. They don't have the free will. The last paragraph on the left-hand column, senses provide us with the materials to form ideas, which in turn guide our wills to make choices. Okay, so senses come into play, but we have an intellect and free will. Okay? So the test tomorrow, okay, what I want you to study is, you want to write this down, okay? I'm going to ask you questions. Okay? Prove to me that God exists. Okay? There are 5 proofs from St. Thomas Aquinas, got them from Aristotle. Okay? There are proofs from the human person, that's from the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Okay? When I say explain things, I want you to explain. You put down one word, I'm giving you 1 point. I want you to explain. If you're going to explain to someone, okay, why it's reasonable to believe in God, okay, give an explanation. Okay, know those 5 proofs that we went over, and proofs from the human person. Those were in the Catechism, that sheet on the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Okay. Be able to argue in favor of why we have a human soul. You're arguing with a materialist, okay, who only believes in matter. Prove to the materialist that a soul exists. That's the articles we went over yesterday and today. And be able to give an explanation for how science, all those films we saw, okay, I think 5 parts of it we watched, maybe 6 parts, I can't remember. Okay. How science tends to support, point to an intelligent designer and an anthropic principle, okay, that things were made for life, for our life on Earth. How does science do this? How does science do it? In fact, you have those sheets I gave back to you. In fact, I'll give you. I'll give you these back, so you can just look them over. Yep, those are. I gave you another sheet too that had the 5 proofs. Those are more full explanations of them. Okay. And who's this? I can't read it. Who is this? Who is this? I'll read this. You don't write your name on it. I cannot.
I think it might be Jeff.
Who? so here's another, oh, this is Jack. So, and this is, what's this?
I got mine.
You already have yours.
No, that's not mine. This is how I got it.
We didn't get one yet.
I did.
Let me guess.
I didn't.
You did. Is that you or this?
I don't have that.
This one's mine.
I'm like 75 cents.
Yours, okay, this must be you.
You never know.
Gosh dang it, write your name, yes.
It is for the test or?
Well, be able to argue all those sheets from what you've watched in those films, okay? Just be able to give it an explanation for how science tends to point to a designer, okay? Biology, physics, both of them, okay? Make an argument from the films you watched.